Back here on the Lookahead, I'm Scott Seidenberg on VSiN, the sports betting network. At Scott's On Air on Twitter. And joining me in studio, a very special guest. He is LasVegasCris. Cris, it's been a long time coming. I'm so glad you came in studio. It's a pleasure to meet you in person finally. Thank you so much for being here. I thank you. You have a big reputation, and I want to just dive into everything about you here. Okay, so
yeah, well, don't believe anything you've heard. It's all nonsense.
No, but just for a little background, how long have you been at the sports betting game in terms of just being, doing it professionally and whatnot?
You know what? I believe that everybody goes through these cycles, so to speak. I've been in this. I moved to Las Vegas about 2006, and I probably didn't know what the hell was going on at that time. I was playing a little bit of poker, a little bit of sports betting, and I ran into the right people. And that's what you have to do in sports betting is you have to run into the right people that are going to give you those steps up the ladder. And I had been betting since I was 18 years old, and I didn't understand what some of these people I ran into were actually doing. It hurt my brain. No, I'm serious. I'm not joking. It actually hurt my brain to understand how you arbitrage and how you don't just bet straight bets and how you look for value. And it took a while for me to realize that you can do something different than what you have been used to just betting square bets. Seriously, it took like 6 months for me to reconcile, well, how do I sell back numbers? How do I automatically take free points? How do I automatically put myself in automatic win positions instead of risking liability every time I bet? It's a change. It triggers a different brain thought, a different chemistry, so to speak, for you to be able to pivot, so to speak, to do that. And I was fortunate enough to meet the right people, and ever since then, that's where I was. I was middling, scalping, chasing numbers, and as that decreased, I realized that I had to pivot again, and I had to learn how to originate. I needed to learn how to do things differently. I couldn't rely on, back in 10, 15 years ago, anybody could have made money middling and scalping. I mean, you didn't have to be a smart guy to do that. Anybody could have done that. But nowadays, it's much more difficult. You have to be able to originate. You have to be a little bit. You just have to work harder nowadays, and that's where I am today. You have to constantly evolve.
Sure.
Anytime you think you have the best of it, and you're going to sit there and rest on your laurels, good luck with that. Let's see how long that lasts.
I love that because I'm always trying to learn more, and I'm trying to learn from people like yourself, like people that have been doing this a long time and that I trust and consider better than me. In fact, one respected bettor here in town recently said to me, and it kind of stuck with me and made me kind of reevaluate some things. He said, "Your handicaps are great. You don't know how to bet." And I said, "Okay, so what do you mean I don't know how to bet?" And we sat down and we talked, and we're continuing the conversation because, you can handicap a game, you could be on the right side, and you're still a loser long term. It's just you have to be smart and know the right ways to bet, and a lot of it comes from line shopping. A lot of it comes from just hitting numbers at the right times and being ahead of the markets. And if you can consistently do that, you're going to be a successful bettor.
Let me tell you something. The easiest part of betting is the handicap, okay? And if you don't understand that or if you think that's a joke, I'm sorry. The easiest part is figuring out what you want to bet.
Yep.
You have to know how to read a market. You have to know when to bet it. You have to monitor the market. It's a long-term process. Just having the game itself, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
When are you going to bet it?
So people sometimes like to, knock the term closing line value, especially on a loss, right? And it's happened to all of us, and we can make jokes about it, right? You see it all over gambling Twitter. We talk about it on this show, right? We shine up our CLV trophy and we'll hang it on the mantle when we lose a game. But explain just how important it is to beat the closing line.
It depends on the market entirely, because in some markets it's meaningless, and in some markets it's important. But the people that claim that CLV is all that important are usually part of a group that is automatically going to get part of that CLV.
Because they're moving the lines.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's what the laughability on that is. Now, don't get me wrong, CLV is important in a lot of cases. So I'm not poo-pooing on that. But it's distorted and manipulated to the benefit of people that want to talk about it.
Sure.
So to speak. And in certain sports, you've got so much give and take, like baseball, for example. Okay, good luck. Show me somebody with their CLV and what it does for them.
Yeah, and I had it the other last week. I joked about my loss because I took the Marlins at plus 137. They went off at plus 110. Still lost.
Yeah. Well, and trust me, I'm on every one of those Marlin games with you. So, but you know what? If you're an originator, you don't care. Like for my NFL, I honestly could give a crap. And then I know, everybody can scoff at me all you want. The NFL is the most efficient market there is, next to maybe Premier Soccer. But I don't care what the closing line is. I just want to know where the line is going. I've documented how when CLV moves against me, my actual win percentage is better. I hit at 64% over the last 7 years when the line actually moves against me in NFL. I have a great NFL system, and I don't care what the market does. I just want to know where the market's going to move.
And so are you betting? You want to bet your number?
Oh, yeah. Nobody can get me off an NFL game. I trust my NFL 100%.
Yeah. So let's say you make the game 3.5. You're looking around to see where you can get your number.
I just want to know who's going to move the number, when they're going to move the number, or where the number is going to go. It's all about market reading. For NFL, I'm looking at this board day and night, and every single movement I'm aware of. I have alerts that tell me when something moves, and that's what's important to me. And I had a string of 65 games that I could count where the line never became better than a number that I bet last year in NFL. I'd like to see anybody else do that.
Yeah.
65 games in a row?
Wild.
Not going to happen.
When did you start playing contests?
Contests I started playing around 2010, 2011, I think. I've had some good luck there.
Yeah, you've done well. Are you a multi-entry guy?
It depends on the contest, but certain contests you have to do the maximum entries. Certain contests maybe you don't.
What is that, like Survivor? You'd want to do the maximum entries, or?
Well, I'm not a Survivor fan, and I hate to. I really dislike the Survivor concept because you can play A+ ball for 13 weeks and set yourself up in a position where you've got this 17-point favorite and it loses. Okay? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
That throws in the lottery aspect. What I really think is much better is a point spread Survivor. Because you know all the teams are in play every week. Okay? In Survivor, there's only a couple of teams in play every week.
Yeah, because it's a lot of also forward planning as well.
Right. It's horseshit.
You leave teams
Excuse
aside.
my language. You have every single team in play every week if you have a Survivor that involves the point spread. And it's much harder, and the variance is much less. And it's much more skilled.
Yeah. So it's like basically you have to cover every week.
You just have to cover.
That's it.
Yeah.
A lot of picking one game. A little pressure.
But you're never going to be in that position
Exactly.
where you have a
Yeah.
17-point favorite that loses outright.
And you're never in a position where your best, like my best play is the Rams, but I can't do the Rams this week because I got to save them for 5 weeks from now in a position that I might never get into because I could be eliminated next week.
Exactly. Why put the players in a position to do this thought, to put themselves in a position of randomness and variance that is absolutely ridiculous?
So you do the regular pick'em contest, the super contest, you do the contest here at Circa as well, and you like to have multiple entries in those spread contests.
Well, I've done the last man standings at stations, which is only $25, and we've won that twice. And I think one was for $50,000, another one for $75,000. Hey, that's a lot of money.
Yeah, absolutely.
And it's very simple, very simple.
All right, I want you to explain that to me coming up next. Plus, we're going to get into some of the things in the NFL that you've been looking at. I want to talk about some food here in town as well.
Food?
Because
Okay.
I need some help, all right? I need some help. I've only been out here since September, so I need some help, okay? He's Las Vegas Chris. We're going to have plenty of more to discuss with him, including I'll ask about the first NFL bet that I've made for the upcoming season. We'll see if we get the Las Vegas Chris stamp of approval. I'm Scott Seidenberg. You can hit me up on Twitter at ScottsOnAir, ScottsOnAir. Las Vegas Chris, you're on Twitter at...
Without an H.
That's pretty simple.
Yep.
This is the Look Ahead here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Back here on the Look Ahead on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Scott Seidenberg joined in studio by Las Vegas Chris, and we're talking about just your process, some of the things that you look for, originating the lines and watching the way that the market moves. Market awareness. Explain this to me. And for our audience, why it is so important to be aware of the market.
I have been in contact with people because I can't do every sport.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and
no one really can.
Well, some people claim they can do every sport, and
Yeah.
they're liars. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
you have to be able to form relationships with people, and that's one of the most important, imperative things about this industry is reaching out, making connections, creating relationships. And I've run into some very talented people in this industry, and they can win. And it fascinates me that they have literally no market awareness. So they win despite not understanding what's going on in the market, which would really improve their results if they're able to read the market and where it's going and when to bet properly, because it can only cost them games. And, you know, over the course of the season, if you lose one or two games, that affects your win-loss significantly, believe
Yes.
it or not. And it's imperative to understand the market and why it's moving, when it's going to move, and just kind of have a read on it. And if it's moving against you, you can reconsider, well, wait a minute, what am I missing here? What do I need to investigate more? Or it's starting to move in my direction. I've got to make my play now.
Yeah.
I've got to release this, you know.
So for you, there's no it's not like a timing thing. As like you'll place your bet whenever the market is positive for you, right? Like you don't care. You'll place a line for next Sunday. You'll place an NFL bet for week 3 now, if the number's good. Am I understanding that? Or
no, you're right. But you know, you look at it on a daily basis. If you look at people that sell picks or sharing picks, they want to release their plays at a certain time.
Mm-hmm.
And you know, whether they're winners or losers, it doesn't matter. You can't do that. You have to be able to do it when the market tells you it's okay to do it. Like for me, I know what I'm going to bet first thing in the morning, whether it be an NFL game or a same-day MLB game. I may bet it that morning or that instant, or I may have to sit on that until game day.
or as close to the game time starts.
Yeah. So I have no problem. It's frustrating as hell because I usually have 1 or 2 NFL games that I know for a fact I have to sit there and babysit all week long. and it's going to come down to Sunday, and finally I get to bet it, but I have to monitor it to make sure it doesn't move against me. And I hate those types of games, but hey, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, like for me, because I'm a big baseball handicapper. I play a lot of baseball. It's my number one sport that I do, and the market is important for me when it comes to totals. Especially, I'm a big first five bettor. And for instance, today, the play of the day I handed out was the first five total over 4.5 Yankees and Blue Jays. And looking at this line and looking at the juice, I knew at some point this might get to 5. And so I bet it at 4.5. I gave it out at 4.5. I laid minus 115 on the 4.5. Most books kept it at 4.5, but I did see one book move it to 5. And so I'm like, I'm clearly on the right side here because this is where this line was moving. Wound no sweat whatsoever. It was 6-3, I think, after the first 5 innings. So I look at the market's important to me when it comes to totals. I'm not so big on I'd like to get closing line value, but a money line play, whether it's minus 125 or minus 130, to me that's not that. I don't really do that. I don't really care about that.
Well, it is important,
Sure.
but it's important to understand.
But I'm not going to get moved off of a bet because I see that.
Right.
Yeah.
The same way I am with NFL. You just want to be able to bet it at the maximum, at the best number you can find, at the optimal number. And you have to be able to look at a screen. And quite frankly, I don't mean to be insulting, but there's only a handful of books you have to look at.
Sure.
And when you see them start to tick, well, you've got to make your move. Or you have to question what your selection is. Well, okay, what am I missing here? Why is this moving against me? And then you dive in a little deeper. Or you make a move and say, okay, I got to bet this now. And you've got a trough of slower moving books that you can bet those games with.
That's interesting. Yeah, I always have those step back moments when a line is moving against my handicap, and I say the exact. What am I missing? What did I not see here? And that's when I'll usually, for baseball especially, I'll dive deeper into weather, and I'll say, okay, I was on the under in this game. Why is this line moving higher? Why are people on the over? And then I see, 17 mile per hour wind out to center field. All right, maybe I should rethink my under because there might be some balls that go out of the ballpark or something like that.
Well, you've got the bullpen considerations. You've got the lineup considerations.
Yep.
Somebody may be sitting out that is not announced that somebody has a lead
And somebody
on.
knows, yeah.
Because these books, trust me, I get these inside tips from bookmakers that I treat well. And they'll say, hey, this is going to be announced in 2 minutes.
Yep.
So I'll get a 2-minute lead.
Hey, Trout's not in the lineup.
Right.
Angel's line is moving. Yep.
Right. So you have to be aware that, hey, there's moving parts you don't understand and respect it.
All right, let me ask you about the only NFL bet I've made this season. Okay. And full disclosure, this bet is not available right now. Okay. I bet the Panthers in week 1 against the Browns at plus 3.5. My reasoning is there's no way Deshaun Watson's playing. He is absolutely getting suspended. This situation could not be uglier for the NFL, especially when you consider the way that Major League Baseball has handled Trevor Bauer and his one situation, which, by the way, he was totally acquitted of. No charges, nothing. 2 years. He hasn't played. 24 women now with Deshaun Watson and all these civil cases. If this guy plays week 1, it is going to be an enormous backlash on the NFL. It's a PR nightmare. I don't think he's playing it all this season, but let's just talk about week 1. I think that once he's suspended and it's Jacoby Brissett starting, because I don't think Baker Mayfield's going to be the quarterback of the Browns. It's Jacoby.
Why? Nobody will answer the question, why will Baker not play?
I think you don't have this bad relationship where you're taking an ad out in the paper to say goodbye to the city.
If I'm Baker, I want to play and do a dynamite job and say F you.
Well, don't you want to get traded? and then do a dynamite job.
It
for
doesn't
another
matter.
team.
He's going to get paid the same amount anyway, and he's cheap for Cleveland to hang on to. They're going to have to absorb his contract, the majority of his contract, if they trade him anyway.
Well, if it's Baker, then I'm screwed. But I'm banking on Baker being moved, maybe even to the Panthers, who are very high on him and they want him badly. And my handicap is that if Jacoby Brissett's the starting quarterback, I don't care if it's Sam Darnold on the other side. The Browns are not going to be 3.5, 4-point favorites in that game.
You know what? You already have CLV, and I took the +4 myself, just knowing, and this is where we get back into market reading, okay? There's a lot of stuff I'm going to play just because I know a market's going to move, and I'm going to get value. So New England +3 was laughable. There's 2.5s everywhere. You can sit there, and if you have money, you can just play the +3 -2.5, and you're getting positive EV. Okay? It's sitting right out there right now.
Yeah.
Now, as far as you're concerned with Cleveland, wait a minute. This team is solid offensively and defensively, and it doesn't matter who they put behind quarterback. They're better than Carolina. Okay? If that line drops below 2.5, I'm going to be on Cleveland. I don't care who they put in quarterback. You have good closing line value with 3.5, but Cleveland is a very solid team. There is not the highest expectations that they had last year on them. And Carolina is they got problems.
Especially
they have a lot of problems. Okay.
Well, here's hoping they get Baker Mayfield to solve some of that quarterback issues. Hey, Christian McCaffrey's back healthy. They drafted a Kwanu on the offensive line, so maybe more than 5 wins for them this season. He's Las Vegas Chris. I'm Scott Seidenberg. We're going to talk food coming up. This is The Look Ahead here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Back here on The Look Ahead, I'm Scott Seidenberg, joined in studio by Las Vegas Chris, who I have heard, and you can tell me if this is correct, is a pizza aficionado.
Snob. I'm a snob.
A pizza snob.
I'm a pizza snob.
Now, let me preface this segment by saying that I have worked in a pizzeria for 17, 18 years of my life. I've managed stores. I've done everything you can do inside of a pizzeria, making pies, cooking, manage, deliveries, everything. So I consider myself maybe a little bit of a pizza snob. Your favorite style of pizza is what?
Detroit-style pizza, of course.
Okay. I've never heard of Detroit-style pizza until I moved to Las Vegas and local places are selling Detroit-style pizza. To me, it is a Sicilian pie. What is the difference between a Sicilian square pie and a Detroit-style pizza? Is it just buttering the side of the pan?
You not only have to have a special pan,
Okay.
but you have to have special cheese and special crust. And instead of a deep dish like that is all dough, it kind of puffs up a little bit and it's crunchy. So you get crispy, crunchy crust with every bite, not like this thick dough that's like just, filling your tummy with nonsense.
It's interesting. I've had it from a couple places out here, and I've enjoyed it. Then again, I'm a Sicilian guy. I like the square pie. That's just what I go for. We got a pie here from a local spot here in downtown Las Vegas. You want to take a look at this pizza. Upon looks, this thing's maybe a 5 out of 10. It's not the best looking. The crust is too high for me. But again, I'm a New Yorker, so New York style pizza is where I'm at, thin and crispy. This doesn't look like it's going to be crispy.
Let me ask you something.
Yes. I'm gonna give myself a slice, and then you can take yours.
Explain to me why tomato sauce belongs on a pizza.
As opposed to...
Well, just in general, why is tomato sauce on a pizza?
Why is tomato sauce on a pizza? I can't answer that. It's just the ingredients. And you said, listen, I've made pizza with vodka sauce. I've made pizza with just cheese, and you make a white slice. You make a white pie. You can do anything. Pizza sauce is just the basic style.
But if you look up the history of tomato sauce has a history of only being there to camouflage rancid meats and
Slice, sir.
And to camouflage things that don't taste well or that are bland. Okay.
But cheese on dough tastes great.
Okay. But what are the two worst things about pizza? Just think, off the top of your head, what are the two things that annoy you the most about pizza?
Reheatability, for me. Depends. You have to reheat a certain way. And that's really nothing else.
Do you dislike when you burn the roof of your mouth or your tongue?
Oh, that's an amateur move. Burning the roof of your mouth.
Okay,
Are you
but
kidding me?
do you dislike that?
Who does that?
That's horrible.
Yeah, everyone dislikes that.
Hey, but why does it happen?
Because the cheese is too hot.
No, it's because the tomato sauce is too hot.
You
Do you
yeah.
dislike?
Yeah, good job out of you.
Do you dislike when all the items come off of your pizza when you bite into them and just slide off?
Sure. Yeah, that's bad.
Do you think that happens on a pizza without tomato sauce?
No.
Of course it doesn't.
Good call.
So why do you have tomato sauce on a pizza when you can have the sauce off to the side, and if you like the tomato sauce, you can dip it in?
It's interesting. Well, one of my favorite pie is, we call it a grandma pie. It's a thin, crispy, square Sicilian pie. And it's made, with dough, olive oil, with your salt, your salt, pepper, oregano, all that stuff, and lay your fresh mozzarella right on the dough. You'll bake it, you'll cook it, right? And then you'll take it out halfway through and just dab the marinara sauce in spots along the pie. Then put it back in, comes out, you got your Parmesan cheese, all that stuff on top. Delicious. Not too saucy. The sauce usually stays in little clumps all over the pie, and it's a nice and thin, crispy. The sauce doesn't overpower the cheese and everything, making it still crispy as opposed to being, kind of soggy and floppy like this one. I'm going to actually taste this. Now, we're not stealing a segment from a different media outlet, but we are doing a taste here. What do you make of those pizza reviews, by the way?
Full disclosure, a Detroit-style pizza has a mountain of tomato sauce on the top of it.
Yeah.
And I do not endorse, personally, a Detroit-style pizza with that tomato sauce all over it. And in fact, the way I was introduced to pizza without tomato sauce is because Buddy's Pizza in Detroit, which is famous. Everybody loves Buddy's Pizza. Trust me.
Buddy's, okay.
They put so much tomato sauce on it. I finally ordered one without sauce. And it was so freaking good. I could not have pizza with tomato sauce going forward. It was just like heaven. And the reason why is you never burn the roof of your mouth. The items don't slide off the pizza. What was the other reason? I forget the other reason.
Stays crispy.
It's crispy, and I lost my train of thought. Dang it.
Well, let me tell you about this pie. I'm not a fan.
No, this is...
there is so much oil on this.
And it's over-seasoned.
Yes, that's what I was going to say.
Yep.
They loaded up on the oregano on this thing.
Yep.
For what reason? I like the Parmesan cheese. You put it on top, but why the oregano all over? It's almost like they're masking the taste of their pizza.
But that's what regular pizza places do with their tomato sauce. Trust me, order your pizzas without tomato sauce so you can taste your items. The tomato sauce camouflages the items that you're ordering. Now, if you are one of these boring guys that just likes plain cheese pizzas, okay, have your pizza and tomato sauce. And here's the other secret. All your items have to be on top of the cheese. Trust me, you don't want pepperoni underneath the cheese. You don't want anything underneath the cheese. You want your stuff crispy because it brings out the flavors.
What's your go-to topping, your favorite pizza topping?
You know what? I just like the meat toppings, the Italian sausage, the pepperoni on top. Everything just has to be crispy. Bacon, but anything.
Meatball.
It's fine.
And but this, you have to have the meatballs where they're sliced.
Yeah, I agree.
Sliced meatballs on top.
Yeah, you don't want a ball.
No, you don't want. You don't. And some people do like sausage chunks, like they do with the meatballs. I don't know. It's got to be sliced meatball on top of it.
And you can do that with the Italian sausage. Too.
Absolutely. Well, actually, with the Italian sausage, a lot of people prefer the loose as opposed to the rope sausage cut.
And the other go-to secret is fennel seeds. Sprinkle some fennel on your pizza. And
See, I'm not some people do. You like the sesame seed crust when they put sesame seeds on the crust?
I haven't tried that really.
That's a lot of places back east are doing that.
I'm a sesame seed fan,
Yeah,
so
they
I
put it
think
on the
I would
crust.
like it. But fennel is
Little olive oil on the crust, sprinkle the sesame seeds, put it back in the oven. And the thing here, this is
This is we cannot
yeah.
endorse them. Is
I
what
can't.
we're saying.
Yeah, this is you're hungry, you're gonna eat it. Because keep in mind, pizza's great. I'll eat any type of pizza. I'll eat any fast food pizza. I'll eat any pizza.
I just got home from my college party, and this fits the bill.
Yes, it does. But this would not be where I would take you to go eat pizza. No, you deserve better than this.
We gotta get a nice Detroit-style pizza in here, and trust me, you're gonna really like it.
I've had it before, and it's not bad. But then I told you, but I'm a Sicilian square
Yeah, but was it
guy.
riddled with tomato sauce?
It had layers. It had like chunks of tomato sauce on it, like lines. It had lines of tomato sauce diagonally across the top of the pie, which I thought aesthetically looked very nice.
What about the crust, though? It's different from a deep dish where you get a crunch to it instead of a doughy.
It was airy. It was airy.
Right.
Yes. It was very airy, light, which I did enjoy. All right, well, let's get back into the sports betting discussion. This isn't the Vegas Pizza Network. This is the Vegas Stats and Information Network. He's Las Vegas Chris. Hit him up on Twitter at Las Vegas Chris. No HCRIS. I'm Scott Seidenberg. Tweet at me at ScottsOnAir, SCOTTSONAIR. We're going to talk about something you told me during the break about just the process when it comes to making these bets, and want to talk a little about your YouTube page as well, what you've been doing on that. This is the Look Ahead here on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network. Scott Seidenberg back here. This is the Look Ahead on VSiN, joined in studio with Las Vegas Chris. And we're not fans of this pizza.
No.
Next time you come in, we'll have to try a different spot.
Yeah.
That's what we'll do. We'll just pick a different spot.
It's not working for me.
Every time. And I swallowed my slice because I was just very hungry. I ate earlier today, did a little Father's Day special with my father and my brother at my brother's house, and swam in the pool. And it was a very chilly day today. It was like 80-something degrees. It wasn't that hot out.
It was cold.
Yeah.
I mean, when it gets below 90 here, I mean, you
Look
really
at me.
have to start looking at
I'm a Las
getting
Vegas
the blankets.
local now. I'm complaining. It's 88 degrees and I'm cold. I mean, I have been transitioned to a Las Vegas local.
I drive a convertible, so, as long as it's under 110, I'm okay.
Well, today must have been a beautiful day for you then.
Yeah, when it gets below 90, I'm like,
I wanted to ask you, with the legalization of sports betting, obviously widespread. It's almost all over the country now. And you're starting to see different media outlets come up with, their whole content, and the sports books certainly have their content. What's your take on all of this? The gambling Twitter blowing up. There's two different sides of gambling Twitter, I like to say. There's the people that are the, hey, 1,500 retweets and I'll give you my play of the day. And then there's the content creators that claim to not be handicappers but are still giving out picks every single day. And then when they lose, it's like, listen, I'm a content creator. I'm not a handicapper. So I think it's just hilarious when it comes to both sides of this. There are good and there are bad with gambling Twitter. But for someone like yourself that does this for a living, what do you make of all of the explosion here and the mainstreamness, if that's a word, of sports betting?
I think just everybody needs to be cautious with who they're following. There's a lot of fraudulent people on Twitter that can create their following, so to speak. So if you look at them, they may, be followed supposedly by 10 or 20 or 30,000 people, but they're not.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they're fake. You just have to do your own due diligence because it's a buyer beware market with who you're going to follow. Don't get me wrong, okay? There's a lot of great free content providers.
Yes.
Okay? There are great paid content providers.
Mm-hmm.
There are also fraudulent, phony balonies in those categories. It's up to you, the consumer, to figure out what is real and what is Memorex, so to speak. And what really bothers me actually the most about what's going on is from the sports books themselves, where you might spend $15 million or $20 million to get a promotional person that everybody can recognize to represent your company, but you won't take a $100 bet. And you may represent yourself in one way, and you're a fraud because you're not, okay? And I think what I'd love to see is for a uniformity sort of solution where when you log into your account, you know how much you can bet on that, whatever you want to bet, okay? I don't care if you only want to give me $100, but don't sit there and give me a blank option and you can't confirm $1. Like for me, I tried to confirm $200 futures last week. One was counter offered with, we'll only give you $98.50.
Because that's just some algorithm just
Right.
spitting that back.
So I'm like,
yeah.
all right, I'll take the $98.50. The other one declined, rejected. So I tried for 80, try it for 70 or 70, try it for 50, try it for 20, try it for 15. Obviously, I'm just doing this to see how low I can go at this point. I go down to 10, 5, 2, $1, rejected. Are you kidding me? I mean, this does not serve our industry with any sort of respect. Just tell me I can have $100, okay?
Yeah.
You know, you don't have to give me $500. Don't sit there and tell me that you're the end-all to end-all and the place to place a wager when you can't even sit there and tell me I can have $100 as a limit. You can't even have the balls to say, okay, we guarantee you a $100 bet. When we know a $100 bet is actually very small. Okay, I'm not asking for high aspirations of expectations, but a nickel would be nice and should be the standard. But you guys can't even give me $100 guaranteed on every single thing you offer.
Which is why, I mean, you got to respect guys like down there, like Metcalf and them who you know will tell you, hey, these are our limits. We're taking 1,000, 3,000, 5,000, whatever it is. They do a great job of displaying that. You go right on the Circa app, you find they'll tell you the limits right there.
I
know
love
exactly what you can bet and what you cannot bet. I know you're doing a YouTube channel as well. What do you got going on there?
You know what? I'm doing a YouTube channel with various people. My friend Ron, which I've known from Ron A Sports, I've known for over a decade. And I'm doing with Ted Sobel, which works for Sports USA. He does the in-game shows, intermission shows for NHL and NFL over the last 20 years. And I've had a few guest hosts, and it's completely free. We immediately get into the content. We don't promote anything. We're just providing content, regular NFL content, okay? And the reason why we're doing it is because it helps us. We don't give a crap about anything else. We're not trying to sell anything. We're just providing NFL content. And let me tell you something. Some of this stuff, when we're talking about Pythag theories, we've done 2 videos just on Pythag alone, okay?
Interesting.
We're doing original content that you're not finding elsewhere. And you know what? It's not completely professional. We're just bumbling along, but we provide some great information.
That's solid. And where can you check that out? Just search.
It's my YouTube channel, LasVegasCris. We're providing at least 1 video, if not 2 videos a week, for free, and we're just loving it. And we're welcome comments and suggestions.
How invested are you in the futures market? Are you a big futures guy?
I wasn't a good futures guy because I spent my summers in Thailand for 3 months a year for 15 years straight. But because of these COVID restrictions, I've realized, well, okay, now I have to look at this. And here's the number one thing I recommend to everybody. If you cannot compartmentalize your futures from your weekly bets, then get the hell out of Dodge with futures.
Great advice.
Okay? Let me tell you something. I guarantee you 100% whatever futures you have are going to seep into your subconscious, if not your visibility. Each and every week, you are going to avoid or want to place wagers on teams that fit your futures narrative. You don't want that distraction. Trust me, you absolutely have to 100% compartmentalize your futures and say, I'm done with that. That this is a segment that is over and done with. I'm not doing anything about it. I will look at these wagers week 14, week 15, and see if there's some hedging I need to do or some options that are available to me, but they will never, ever affect any decision I make on a weekly wager. And 99.9% of bettors are unable to do that.
It's a tremendous point. I mean, I've fallen into it. I've bet on teams that I have futures on.
You're not going to be able to do it.
It's just because I'm like, listen, I obviously like this team enough that I have a future on them. So I obviously like them in this game. So I'm going to bet on them. But I could be on the wrong side of that because I'm just skewed by my like of the future bet that I put in prior to the season and needing them to win this game in order for me to hit that future. That's a great point. I think we can all be a little bit more disciplined in that aspect.
It's imperative that whatever your perception of these teams going into the regular season, that you're able to pivot immediately on what you see, but also be able to not overreact to what you see.
Yeah, recency bias. You don't want to become victim to it.
There's two extremes you have to avoid.
Yeah, 100%. Cris, this was fun, man.
Yeah.
We got to do this again with better pizza next time.
Well, you can't. Well, it's going to be hard not to get better pizza.
We'll do Detroit style, not a lot of sauce, because the sauce overpowers everything else. You'll burn the roof of your mouth. The toppings will slide everywhere. And so we'll avoid that. He's Las Vegas Cris. I'm Scott Seidenberg. This is the Look Ahead here on VSiN.